Hi everyone, and welcome to the 6th video in the How to Write an Analytical Essay series. This video is going to be talking all about how to incorporate evidence in the form of quotations into your essay. You can see here that so far we have pretty much got our essay finished, and it's just a matter of really trying to add that depth, add that detail, and take our essay to the next level by incorporating more evidence. So the objective for today is to understand how to incorporate quotations seamlessly and effectively into your work. So it's not just about copying and pasting and thinking you're done, but really taking the time to make sure you're incorporating quotations correctly. So just before we get started, a pet peeve of mine that I'm sure is shared by other English teachers is that it's really important to know the difference between quotation and quote. So a quotation is that piece of evidence from a text, whether it's a line or some kind of direct quotation. So that's a noun, it's a thing. Whereas quote is a verb, so you quote a particular person. So just when you're talking about it, referencing it, make sure you're using the correct word. All right, so why do we include quotations in our essays? Basically, this is a really great way to provide evidence of your understanding of your text. So regardless of what kind of essay you're doing, what novel or play or film you're doing your essay on, you will be assessed on how well you know that text. So a great way to show that you know it in detail and can really unpack ideas is to incorporate quotations. It can also really strengthen your points that you're making and show that you can support the ideas that you are bringing forward in your essay. So when you are referring to the text, it's really important that you give it capital letters. It is a title, so making sure that you give them the correct capital letters. If you are handwriting your essay for some reason, maybe it's a supervised task, you underline the title and you italicize if typing. So it's really important whenever you are referencing the title of something, italicize and use capital letters when typing. Another thing that I'm going to focus on in a later video as well, but I thought I would mention now, is that it's really important to discuss the techniques or discuss any kind of part of the text as a construction. So it's the author uses, not the text uses. I see a lot of students say the text uses lighting. A text isn't able to do anything, it's a construction by an author or a director. So just some handy hints for you there. So I've got a few don'ts here about how to incorporate quotations. So what not to do. So please don't insert really long quotations. That is going to eat into your word count, and while you're providing evidence, it's really chewing into your word count where you could be really unpacking what that quotation means. I see a lot of students do this second point here where they just throw quotations in and then never mention them again. They just put it right in the middle of a paragraph and move on. You really need to unpack quotations when you use them. And please never use a quotation as a standalone sentence. It's really not showing that you're able to understand the meaning of it, and it's a lot more useful to really unpack it and add your own words, and I'll show you how to do that in this video. So now that we've covered the don'ts, here are the do's. So it's important to insert brief quotations. Again, we want to hear what you have to say. We've read the book or we've watched the film, listened, seen the play. We want to hear what you think about it. So the more of your own words you can include, the better. You want to smoothly integrate them. So a handy hint for this is to read your work aloud and really make sure that it flows nicely. Always expand on your quotations. Please never just put them in and never refer to them. Adding that detail is what takes your essay to the next level. Breaking up your quotation to support your point is probably the best way that you can insert quotations effectively into your essay. To kind of take snippets of what they're saying and wind them into what you're saying shows that you have a really high level of understanding. Now, feel free to modify quotations if you need to. Quite often, quotations might be in the wrong tense, they might just not sound right, they might be in the wrong kind of narration. Feel free to change those, and I'll show you how to do that in this video as well. Okay, so here is an example of what not to do when incorporating quotations into your essay. This has come from a book called The English Handbook. I'd like you to revisit our what not to do and what to do lists. Have a look at this paragraph and see if you can figure out some things that are wrong with it. So pause the video here. Okay, so I'm hoping you've written down a few things. The most important, I guess, faults in this is that number one, it doesn't flow well. The sentences are quite disjointed, and the quotation itself is far too long. It really needs to be broken up, and they haven't really explained the quotation properly. They've kind of thrown it in. So you really need to explain how the quotation supports your point. Okay, so this is the fixed version. So we can see here that the quotation has been broken up, it flows much better, and the meaning and significance of the quotation has been really explained and unpacked. So this is a fantastic example of what to do in your own essay. So let's move on now to how you can go about creating this in your own essay. So there are a few different ways that you can include quotations. The first is to break up really long quotations with ellipsis points. So that's that 3 dots here. So this is if you like the first part and maybe the last part of a sentence and you don't want to include the middle, scrap the middle and just put the ellipsis points in there. And then we know that you've taken some words out. Another way that you can break down a really large quotation is to break it into smaller chunks. So we saw that in the previous example where they had, so neither a truth, and then truth has got quotation marks, nor universally acknowledged. So you can see that that has been integrated just really well into their own words, and then they're just pulling short quotations from the text. Okay, now style, this is often one that students ask me, whether to use the this quotation mark or this. The short answer is use whichever you like. Unless your teacher has given you something specific, you can use either. Just make sure that you're consistent, so keep it the same the whole way through. Another really important point is to keep the quotation mark inside a full stop. So if you've got a sentence and there are words before here and you've included this quotation, that quotation mark needs to be included before the full stop. For a large quotation, so if you're wanting to include, maybe quite a chunky paragraph of a quotation from a novel, just have a chat to your teacher. There are ways that you can do that, but just double check with them whether they're happy for you to do that, and they'll be able to explain really easily how you can go about doing that as well. Okay, nearing the end. So editing for grammar. This is one where if the quotation doesn't quite fit well, how to edit it. So this is an example here of something that is a quotation from a particular book. I think it's The Messenger maybe. And you can see here that we've got Ed feels that by changing his life, he has left my own fingerprints on the world, etc. So pause the video here and see if you can unpack what is wrong with this sentence. Okay, so I'm hoping you found that the quotation is quite long. They really need to shorten it yet again. They also haven't explained the quotation, and the shift from third person to first person is really awkward. So Ed feels that by changing his life, he has left my own. Quite awkward. So to change this, we have just broken up the quotation here, and it flows just much nicer. So have a read here, see what they've done, and try to emulate that in your own work as well. So I'm hoping today that you've learned how to incorporate quotations quite seamlessly into your own work. Really, really fantastic way of showing your teacher that you understand the text, that you can analyze it and refer to evidence to support your points. And it makes for a really sophisticated essay if done well. Feel free to rewatch this, and I will see you next time for essay protocols. See you later.